Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and happy Easter to everybody out there that is enjoying the day with their family, or had an Easter egg hunt, or had a nice basket with their kids, or is planning to see some family later on tonight in the evening, right? And even if you're not doing that, I just want to say happy Easter to you, and I hope you have a great day overall. Hope you don't think that makes me a bad person. Now, I myself am not a very religious guy, but I am here to warn you today in this video presentation from an interview with YuVal Harari that actually Clay Clark played a very, very small piece of. This, we're actually going to play the full 4-minute clip, 4-minute plus clip, and analyze it, where he talks about the new religions coming out of Silicon Valley. Now, no matter where you stand on the major religions of the world out there, you know, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, you know, Buddhism, Hinduism, any of the isms out there, anything, okay? And the horrors, unfortunately, that can be done in the name of these religions, because historically, wars, abuse, etc., have been predicated on those who have invoked religions. Now, no matter what you believe about that, okay, and how bad you think those things could be, and again, I'm not here to denigrate any of that, the new religions will truly be what? The extinction of humanity. That is not hyperbole. All right? They are being put out there on behalf of a predator class that wants to sell you on a transhumanist agenda where you are either forced to merge with the machines, or if you're lucky, by the way, or literally be exterminated when you are automated out of society and no longer, quote unquote, useful to the economy. You see, the old texts don't have an answer for that, according to YuVal Harari. All right? I want that to be very, very clear. And these new religions will come out and have come out already via what? Entertainment, Hollywood, propaganda, and really the Defense Department. All right? All wrapped into one. And that's what Silicon Valley is. They are extensions of the Defense Department via not only seed funding, right, but programs like signature reduction, where they are merely a front or a face for what is really going on behind the scenes. They are Trojan horse civilian systems. Okay? And that must be realized. So I want people to really understand what this man is saying, because in this short bit, he talks about the new religions, demonizes Christianity and Islam, okay, praises socialism, and then talks about the new economy, which you will no longer be useful in, okay, in this Malthusian-type society where your worth is even less, all right? And the new business will be artificial brains and robots, the things of which are comedically represented in Upload on Amazon Prime. If you haven't seen the show, I mean, if you're into Black Mirror, and you know, the second season especially talks about the secondary societies, the quote-unquote Ludd movement. I just want it out in the open. I am no Luddite, all right? Technology is a tool that can either empower humanity or enslave humanity. And the things that this guy has already said about human beings being hackable animals and elites creating digital dictatorships. No, he's talking about the full shebango. And he's more than willing to be a mouthpiece for this, because he wants to be one of these predator class minions and lapdogs and bootlickers that somehow lives through this and ascends to what they believe will be some sort of a singularity. He doesn't believe in a soul, folks. And all I'm going to tell you is I have seen zero evidence that it would be possible to upload your consciousness, your soul, whatever you call it, into one of these devices. That is the big lie, okay? And living forever is the big lie. We all do turn to dust. And it is that fear that Harari actually uses against humanity to, pursue these type of religions that will ultimately be the doom of it. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. We got 100 watching. Can we get at least 50 thumbs? You know the deal, guys. We've been kicked off of YouTube multitude of times. I still need you to share these videos and get people to subscribe. Why? We're trying to reach people and bring them to an uncensored platform. 53,000 plus, almost 54,000 strong. At least make that free account. And I know I had some tips asking me whether or not you were subscribed to me. Check. So if you are paying for a subscription, make sure you've endorsed me by coming to my page, hitting that subscribe or endorse button, whatever appears. It's $9.99 a month or $99.99 for the year. Lock it in. It helps support the broadcast big time. Big time. We're also at the Podbean. People who like, just the MP3s or live streams to call in, at least get the Podbean app as well. We've been taking live callers on some of these broadcasts, and it's a great way to interact with the audience. Also, we're able to put up duplicate vidcasts. So this goes out into an RSS feed. You can share this with other people. It is a great tool that we're now utilizing over at the infowarrior.podbean.com. Odyssey, thank you for backing up my YouTube channel just in case. And remember, all the documentary films I think are relevant today. Loose Change, Final Cut, and Fabled Enemies exposes 9/11. Invisible Empire, A New World Order to Find and Shade the Motion Picture. Explain what this New World Order agenda is all about. And what is it about? It is about collectivism, okay? The false promises of collectivism to create a permanent serf class. It is not about the rugged individual. It is not about human rights. And therefore, it is not about free will, free choice, and humanity in general. So let's go to Harari and let's break this down as he tells us where the new religions come from.
Yeah, I think the future belongs to techno-religions. I mean, the big religions, the important religions of the 21st century are more likely to emerge from Silicon Valley than they are from the Middle East or from Afghanistan or Syria or any of these places.
So think about that right there. He's talking about a multitude of flavors of religion, okay, based on Silicon Valley, therefore based on corporations and dictates. And you've seen this new culture of cancellations, of censorship, of control, all right? It only gets worse when you empower that.
It's a bit similar to what happened in the 19th century with the Industrial Revolution. When the Industrial Revolution swept through the world, you had a lot of reaction. It created a lot of new problems. It destroyed a lot of old certainties and hierarchies. As Marx and Engels wrote in the Communist Manifesto, everything solid melts into air. And when everything solid melts into air, people become very afraid, and they look back to some reassuring old tradition, mythology, religion to give them security.
So let's just stop it right there. Mythology, religion. Look, folks, I'm never here to preach to you or tell you what to believe, but there's no way anybody can disprove some of these things that may have historically happened that are a part of religious records, okay? It would be impossible. I tell people I barely know what happened in the last 42 plus years I've been on the planet, let alone 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, thousands of years ago, right? There's only so much information, not only can my mind process, but not being a firsthand witness to. And this guy is always talking about that being what? Mythology. And it's the uncertainty and fear that we will end. And certainly, like everybody else out there, I have that fear as well, right? I have those questions as well. But then to ignore all the signs out there, everything out there that points to what? Intelligent design, abundance, collective consciousness. Whether you want to call it a god or not, good and evil actually existing as forces on this plane that we live on. in this universe, whatever you want to call it, the realm that we live in. He wants to disregard all of that and break it down into what? Socialism, communism, the collective, command and control. Again, these Malthusian ideas on what you're actually worth to society and not freedom and individualism.
So back in the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution led to a wave of fundamentalism all over the world. The biggest war of the 19th century was not the Napoleonic Wars, it was not the American Civil War, it was the Taiping Rebellion in China, when, in reaction to the coming of the Industrial Revolution, of British imperialism, of the collapse of the old Chinese system, you had this failed scholar, Hong Xiuqua.
Well, let me just start it here. Failed scholar is how he starts it. And remember, he talks about this being the bloodiest war of all. And essentially what he's going to do, okay, is blame Christianity for this. Now, I'm not going to act like I'm well versed on this conflict that he's about to talk about, but he wants to invoke a failure of somebody who said that he had a vision for God on behalf of what? Spreading the heavenly message of Christianity. And look, when you get to the Christianity's not perfect, the books aren't perfect, but then again, I don't read Aramaic. I haven't seen the original text. I couldn't decode them. I could probably barely get through the original King James Bible in its first language publication, those type of things. I'm just putting that out there. But to take away the tenets of loving thy neighbor, of honoring thy mother and father, right? On an eternal spirit, on something that's bigger than us, of loving one another, of not killing or stealing. Wow. Wow, YuVal. No, these new religions will be built on the narcissism so many people have via social media and what they eat and who they hang out with and the clothes that they wear and the clout that they have, right? Think about it. How detrimental is that to society? Look at those type of cultures. Do we want that? Well, at the end of the day, he wants that because he wants to literally destroy what it means to be a human being.
Who had a vision from God, allegedly, in which God revealed to Hong that Hong, is the younger brother of Jesus Christ, sent to earth to establish the kingdom of heavenly peace.
Heavenly peace sounds terrible, by the way.
And he went around southern China with this message of heavenly peace, and millions followed him into the Taiping Rebellion, which was the most bloody war of the 19th century. According to the most moderate estimates, 20 million people perished in the Taiping Rebellion, which lasted 14 years until it was repressed. The biggest war. And similarly, you had other fundamentalist movements, like you had in Sudan, the Mahdi, quite similar in some respects to what we see today in the Middle East. But none of this worked. When we look back to the 19th century, we don't remember it as the age of faith. The really important religion or ideology that came out of the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century was socialism.
Think about that, religion or ideology. So, again, instead of going back to these major religions that are ancient texts, what does he do? He modernizes it and he brings into socialism because they had something to say. And really, it's not about that. This guy doesn't believe he has such a disdain for humanity, he doesn't believe that they should have free will and that they should be utilized by the ones and zeros that are programmed, by the robots that can be controlled, or just get out of the way. That's what this is.
In 1800, you didn't have any socialists. It started very little, but then it spread like wildfire and became the most important ideological movement of the era, changing our lives completely. And the key to the success of the socialists was that they were relevant. They looked to the future, not to the past. They didn't study ancient scriptures. They studied the technology and the economic structures created by the Industrial Revolution. Therefore, they had something relevant to say about the new problems and opportunities of the Industrial Revolution. Now we are in the midst of a second Industrial Revolution. This time, the main engines of change are not steam and electricity. They are biotechnology and computer science, intelligent design.
So let me just stop. Intelligent design. In other words, godlike behavior. Think about that. And now he's going to get into the economy of brains, etc. Now, I really want to get to his falsehoods of the idea that the Industrial Revolution was really about socialism. All right, that's not the case whatsoever. If you look who dominated during that, it was the United States, which was much more of an open system, not a socialist system, because it still had checks and balances. Now, was that exploited globally? You bet your ass it was. You bet your ass it was. But it was exploited through the mechanisms of government, okay, especially during the time that Nixon was there, right, into Kissinger and all these guys making their associations with China and moving production, okay, and starting to go into these third world countries even in the 80s for their resources. All right. So don't get me wrong. There's never been a pure capitalism, but the idea that socialism was the big deal, that's because that's what the predator class wants. They want those exploited societies that can no longer defend themselves. They want collectivism. Although, like I've always said, communism, socialism, at the end of the day, it's about collectivism. When we need more individualism. And we need accountability for those that abuse the individual, which is what really socialism hides behind. It acts like it's going to protect you from that. It never does.
This time, the main products will not be textiles and vehicles and things like that. They will be bodies and brains and minds. The main products of the 21st century are likely to be bodies and brains and minds.
See that? He says it twice. Now, whether that's just a glitch in the YuVal Noah Harari, and he must hate the fact that his middle name is Noah. He must hate it. Believe that. He's rejected it all. You know, and whatever. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech. He's allowed to have these ideas, but think about who he's influencing. Look at that room of people. And he's about to tell you you're useless to the economy eventually. Remember, we play a bunch of Dennis Bushnell stuff because, again, he told you all this, that your standard of living was going to go down. He's been talking about universal basic incomes forever. Automation taking the jobs. Okay? Malthus 101. Population control. Population stabilization. That what? Changes everything. What do you think that really means? Okay? What do you think that really means? And if these people believe that they can upload their consciousness and trade bodies, right? You know, like some kind of like Netflix sci-fi, I think that's the big lie. Our consciousness has never been isolated nor created. I mean, who knows what's going on behind the scenes, you know, in closed doors and rooms. But really, what we're talking about is an electronic program simulation of you. You're gone, whether you know it or not. So all this to me is predicated on a lie, a lie, a lie.
And the Islamic State has nothing relevant to say about the new opportunities and danger of this. For example, what will happen when artificial intelligence will replace most humans in the job market? Experts estimate that it could take as little as 30 or 40 years for this to happen. You don't have any answer in the Bible what to do when humans are no longer useful to the economy.
So let's just stop that there. Shouldn't we be building a society as human beings that are beneficial to human beings and not dependent upon what the economy says based on a predator class that has rigged the system? This is insane. But, you know, again, one of the reasons that I'm playing this is because this guy, okay, is not only very influential, but is along those same baselines that Bushnell is and what Bushnell is telling you as well. And who else gets promoted? People like Elon Musk that literally tweeted out, "I love you." Oh, the billionaire that increased his, you know, wealth 600%, he loves you. He's going to save you. And they're going to set up false saviors. All right, how do you think these religions emerge from places like Silicon Valley and Hollywood? You know, again, guys, this is the transhumanist agenda. These are the religions that, if we allow to take hold, will have human extinction written all over them. Slowly but surely, not as slowly as you might think.
You need completely new ideologies, completely new religions, and they are likely to emerge from Silicon Valley or from Bangalore and not from the Middle East. And they are likely to give people visions based on technology. Everything that the old religions promised, happiness and justice and even eternal life, but here on earth with the help of technology and not after death with the help of some supernatural being.
So there it is right there. Believe in technology. All the promises of the other religions. And he calls those false promises. And I'm not here to tell you what they are. But once again, if you think happiness comes from some kind of a pill and not hard work and human relationships, if you think it comes from a brain chip, you're signing your own human death warrant. You're part of the extinction program. That's the fact, Jack. So thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. We didn't even get 100 thumbs up on that one, guys. Can we get a little over 100? That'd be great. People are upset at me sometimes. Oh, you plug too much. Guys, it really matters how these things get out. The more thumbs, the more people watch it, the more people get the information, the more people check out my other stuff, the more support I get, the more videos I can make. I'm so glad that you joined me on this Easter Sunday broadcast. Again, I want to remind you all the documentary films are free. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture. Shade is pinned right here over at rockfin, ROKFIN.com/Jason Bermas in the highest of definitions, or you can see them all here on the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. In the documentaries playlist section, remember to Podbean, and Podbean. I love you guys. It's not about left or right. It's about right and wrong, and it's about saving humanity against these predator class monsters. See you on the flip.